We'll never have it again. I'm here to tell a story about, living my dream. Everything was perfect. I couldn't ask for more. And then snap of a finger, and I'm in a hospital bed, and I have no idea how I got there, why I was there, or how long I would be there. So I grew up playing every sport I could. In grade 7, 8, and 9, I was playing hockey, soccer, volleyball, basketball, lacrosse, and I was swimming. And I don't know how I did it now looking back, but I think the gray hairs on my parents' heads would probably, give you an idea of how hectic it really was. The real story here starts in 2009 in early fall. Everything was, like I said, it was amazing. I had been drafted, and at that time, 16, naive, you think, you get drafted, you're going to be an NHL player, you're going to be a pro, you're going to make money, and that's what everyone thought, and I thought the same thing. Everything was going well. I was going to school with 7 of my teammates, which was a blast. I was playing in front of 7,000 people on Friday nights. I was living with an amazing family and making a whopping $50 a week, which at 16 was pretty awesome, even though we wasted it all on fast food. It was, everything was perfect. I couldn't ask for more. We were in Brampton one night, my 6th or 7th game, and I remember my family and friends were there because it was close to home, and it was a great game. I got on the bus on the way home, fooling around with the guys, and then I wake up in the hospital. My body felt fine. I open my eyes, and my cousin and best friend is right in front of me where he's sitting right now, and my mom was to the left of me. I had no idea how I got there. Doctor in front of my head saying, sports, just told me flat out, he told me sports were definitely off the table, not an option at all in any way. I wouldn't continue my education for 2 years, and, I wouldn't live an independent life either. I'd have someone with me the rest of my life, so that was quite devastating. So there's 2 days I don't remember, but there is some things I do remember from being in the hospital. And one thing is, this reminds me why I have the best parents in the world. And so we're sitting in the hospital room on the Friday night, and I didn't even know what to think at this point. This was the scariest moment of my life. I was sitting in the hospital bed. The nurse comes in and says, we're gonna decide here. This was a week later after I had been hit, and we're gonna decide, if we're gonna do surgery here or if things are clearing up after this next CAT scan. And my dad's at the door, my mom's, on the bed basically with me, holding on to me, and we were praying. And for me to be praying with my mom, we go to church, but we don't usually pray together. And I wish that on no one at all. I hope that no one ever has to pray with, their parent for their life. And that's what I was doing with my mom. So my mom's there comforting me. My dad at the door, this explains the kind of guy my dad is. He's at the door and he says, I'm gonna go start the car and pull it up front, so when we get the good news back, you can just hop in the car right at the front, so you don't have to walk. I thought, at the time, now that's awesome, it's funny, and the positivity there is amazing, but at the time I didn't think anything of it. And so I'm sitting in the hospital bed, praying and wishing that good news is coming back. And the nurse comes in, and they didn't know how to explain how much healing there had been, and how lucky I was. And you know what they said? You can head home. And that's what I did. I went home that night, and it was an unlucky 3 seconds there when I was hit behind the net. The doctors explained to me that I was hit behind. I went to pass the puck. I turned around. A player came in and hit me. My helmet fell off. My head hit the glass, or hit the metal stanchion actually holding the glass in, and I dropped to the ice. Those 3 seconds were really unlucky, but when I stepped out of that hospital, it's been nothing but up from there. I've been extremely lucky. So I'm back home. They told me, just to keep walking for about 2 weeks, and that'd be everything that I do. Just walk, work on word searches, and that'll be it. And the walks turned into running. I felt good. I felt confident. Pushing it further and further each day. I felt safe, and so that's what I continued to do. Those walks turned into jogs. The jogs turned into light workouts at the gym. I stopped having naps and would stay up and work on word searches and cognitive, testing. So I just kept pushing and pushing it, and actually I pushed it to the point where I started to drive my mom crazy again, being home every day. And it was her idea that I moved back to Kitchener to live with my teammates and go to school there. And I thought, you know what, I'm kind of starting to get a headache. I don't know if school's the best idea right now. But no, it was great because me going to school ahead of time was an opportunity for me to prove to everyone that, that I was all right. I was going to school. I'm not supposed to go to school for 2 years. So that's what I did. I went back to school, went back to, live with the amazing billets that I was given, and I was enjoying it. It was distracting me from not playing. I was skating every day and working out, all on my own. I wasn't allowed on with the team. And so then February came around, and I had an appointment with the neurologist that was there that night. And I thought, I'm so ahead of healing right now. Everything's great. I'm expecting good news here. So I walk into the office with my mom and my grandpa, and this was, another tough one. I sat down and was expecting great news, and he basically reiterated what he told me the night I was in the hospital, and not sports was off the table, no chance, and I remember I didn't even finish listening to what he was saying. I got up out of my chair and just ran down the hall and dropped before I could even get to the elevator. I don't even know how to put it into words. I didn't know what to say, do, or think, and my mom and my grandpa picked me up, and we drove home. So that was a tough one. So I moved back to Kitchener again, continued to do what I was doing, working out, going to school, doing everything I could to prove to people that I was okay, just to have the one person say, you know what, maybe you could play. I hadn't even gotten that yet. Maybe you could play hockey. When I moved back to the team, or to live with the team after that appointment, I didn't tell any of the boys what had happened. I told them everything went well. I couldn't tell them the truth. I couldn't spit it out in front of them. And so it was a long playoff, and I still didn't want to give up. I moved home for the summer, and I was going to summer school so to make sure I could graduate on time. I was working out 3 to 4 hours a day, to get my size up so that if I had the chance, I was big and strong. I would be safer if I got the chance, if I got someone, to give me any clue that there'd be a chance I could play. And that's what I did. I was busy every day. I wasn't going out. I was doing anything and everything to give myself an opportunity to play. So at the end of the summer, we had another appointment, and I also did an impact test. I'm not sure if people here are aware of that, but it's a baseline test that you take, before you play sports, different sports, various. You take a test, and it has a baseline of your cognitive ability. And so I did this test again right before an appointment at the end of the summer, and I actually did better then than I did before I got hit, which maybe it knocked some sense into me, I don't know, but I was happy with that. That was awesome. That was a huge step in the right direction for me. I mean, no one else had the same plan as me, but for me it was, a great step. So we go to the appointment, and it was 50, not 50-50, but it was good with the bad. She turned the screen towards us of the new CAT scan that I had, and you couldn't see anything. Everything was healed. And I couldn't be mad that I wasn't playing hockey at that point. Everything was healed, and I felt fine. Nothing had changed. I was the same guy I always was, which was, the best news I could have. I kind of dealt with the fact that I wasn't playing hockey at that point because I was me. I was healthy and fully healed. I couldn't complain. So with the neurologist, my agent, and my family, we decided I would take one more year off, and hockey still probably won't be an option, but I'll go back and live with the team anyways, work out, and if there is that slight chance, then I'll take advantage of it. So moved back to Kitchener. Initially wasn't allowed on for practice, and I would go in my coach's office and say, can I come on today just for the first couple of drills where there's no contact? And some days he'd let me, and other days he wouldn't. And the days that he wouldn't, I would go get in my gear anyways and try and sneak on. But the thing was, when he's running a regular practice and he knows every player inside and out, and there's one guy skating a million miles an hour around with a big smile on his face, it kind of gives it away that I was on the ice. So he'd kick me off, kind of upset that I snuck on without his permission, but also he knows I wanted to be out there, so he wasn't too upset. And then I had my first real practice, and I remember that like it was yesterday, because that's where I realized, what? Even if I don't play in a game again, I'm playing in a contact practice with my team. So I'm a hockey player, and that's what I thought. It was awesome. I skated out there, and my best friend, who actually, I don't know if people know here, but Gabriel Landeskog, the captain of the Colorado Avalanche, he skates around, hits me into the boards, and skates away laughing because he thinks it's funny. And I guess, that's what I needed. I didn't need to, stick my toes in. I need to jump in and get right into it. And from there on, it's been awesome. So I was back with the team. This was my second season, and I was so lucky to be healthy, trying to give myself an opportunity to play hockey again. I felt I had to, give back to other people, other brain injury survivors, and that's what I did. I walked into my head coach's office again, not a day that I snuck on for practice, and I had a Word document with details on something I wanted to do off the ice, and I just wanted to let him know that, this was something that I wanted to do, and I'll be busy with it. And I started a charity for the Brain Injury Association of Canada, and it's called Headstrong, and the team is supporting me 100% with it. And I told him that I wanted to kickstart it with a triathlon. And first he thought, with everything I'm already doing, and now you want to do a triathlon kind of thing, seemed a little crazy, but that was my schedule. So I was finishing grade 12 with 3 courses, then I'd practice, and then I'd do my hockey workout, and then I'd either go to the pool, get on the bike, or run. Make sure I get those right. And then go home, do the homework that I have, and go to bed and do the same thing the next day. And I did that for about 4 or 5 months. So it was 2 years after my injury. I completed high school on time. I gained 60 pounds. I started my own charity. I met Stephen Harper and had a picture with him with a Headstrong shirt, and met my hero, who to this day is still my hero, Lance Armstrong. And I got to bike with him for about 4 or 5 minutes, which I'll never forget. So I met with my agent, my coaches, the neurologist, and my parents 2 days before camp of my 3rd season. And so I'd been off for 2 years now. And we met, and we decided, we put everything together and said, let's give it a shot. And 693 days later, I returned to the ice that one day no one thought I ever would. So that's what gave me energy to grab the keys off the wall to walk down to the gym while my team was practicing and I wasn't allowed out. That was the energy, or they gave me the energy for me to go to the pool at 8 o'clock at night after I had 3 workouts in school already before that. So I'd say to everyone here, listen to what other people have to say. Listen to what you need to hear to find motivation. You can let the other stuff go, but listen to what they think and use it as motivation. Goals. And that kind of goes with what we're talking about today, success. You need goals. And for me, you can set any type of goal. And the main thing is make sure you enjoy that goal. My first goal was walking around the block. That's not even 400 meters. My first goal when I got home from the hospital was walking around the block. And then the next goal was going for a jog. And to me, that's how it works. Any type of goal is a good goal. Make sure you enjoy that goal too. When I walked around the block, it was awesome. I had so much energy just because of the excitement from walking around the block. And that gave me energy to set my next goal and complete that next goal. And jogging, then I had so much energy to jog the same day after I finished the walk, I went and jogged. And then the next day I could go to the gym because I had so much energy. And I was so proud of myself because I reached that goal. So, and now success. This is a big topic today, and to me, my personal opinion, success is whatever you want it to be. And that's the cool part about it. There's no book that says what success is. There's no book that says how to be successful, how to get to success. And another thing is, I think success is finding a way. My head coach would always say finding a way. He's the coach of the Toronto Marlies now. And he would say, find a way. If we were losing by 5 goals this year in Ottawa, we were losing 7-1 against a team we should have been beating. And, he said, find a way. It wasn't over. He just told us to find a way to be successful. And you just do whatever you have to be successful. I'm taking a crazy route to get to where I want to be, which is in the National Hockey League. And I'm finding a way. You have to find a way to do it. And so with success, I think goes hand in hand with finding a way, because there's no right way to get to success. I also attend Laurier. I've been there for 2 years now, and something that I'm really interested in is psychology. And when I was in class one day, we were talking about the sympathetic nervous system and fight and flight. And it really stuck with me because I looked at it in a more general kind of context that I wanted to fight for hockey. 120% probably. I wanted hockey back in my life. And I guess my message is, if you want something bad enough, fight for it. You fight for every inch because you deserve every inch that you work for it. But if you don't really want it, you want it 50%, 70%, take flight. Go around, look for something else, because there's something else out there for anyone and everyone. And that's what I did. I wanted hockey. I put all my eggs in one basket, and I crawled for every inch, and I still am today. And that's my message for, getting to where you want to get to. To brain injury survivors out there, or, injuries of any sort, I'd say push the envelope, because if I remained on the path that the doctors gave me, then I wouldn't be here today. I would be starting high school today. Instead, I have two semesters at Wilfrid Laurier. So push the envelope, because that's what's going to get you to the next level. The doctor is the doctor of whatever injury you have, but you're the doctor of your own limitations. So that doctor doesn't know how well I could jog around the block or go to the gym when he thinks I'm just walking. If you feel safe and comfortable, then keep pushing it, because you're the doctor of your own limitations. If you find yourself lost and confused, alone, like you're left with nothing, really what you're left with is opportunity. I'm talking about hitting rock bottom. And if you ask me, I'd say it's a pretty good place to start. Thank you.